Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a review of the Moving Out expansion for Decorum. And disclaimer that I was given a review copy of the expansion. If you didn't see my original coverage of Decorum, the basic idea is you go through scenarios. It has both two-player play and four-player play. I'm going to focus on the two-player because that's all the expansion does. And in each scenario, they give you an initial setup for your house with different paint colors on the walls and different objects spread throughout the house. And then each of the players has a character with a little fun story that actually comes back over the course of the campaign. It's like the characters get developed and get little things added to their mythos. But then they each have some requirements they have to fulfill, but they're not allowed to let the other player know what those requirements are. All they're allowed to do is say whether they like something or don't like something as the players add and take away and move objects. Like maybe I want only yellow things on the left side of the house. So whenever I have a chance, I'm going to add yellow. And whenever my partner, moves something that's not yellow, I'll be like, I hate that. And that's the basic idea of the game. It gets more complicated. They add in some more modules as the campaign goes along. And before I get to the expansion Moving Out, I just want to say, man, I feel like I slept on Decorum. I mean, I gave it a pretty positive review back when I covered it initially. But in the course of getting ready to cover the expansion, my eldest son and I played through most of the core game's campaign again. And yeah, it is just a joy. We had so much fun. And the nice thing is, I figured this would be the case. It's really hard to remember any of the stuff because it's so kind of nuanced and specific. So even though we had played through pretty much the entire campaign the first time around, I was able to play through all of it again with no memory of anything that had happened. So yeah, I think as long as you let some time pass, you'll be able to get more replay out of this. But I can confidently say at this point that especially for two-player play, I think Decorum is one of the best cooperative deduction games out there, right up there with things like Paint the Roses, Hanabi, some of my favorites. It's awesome. Okay, now let's talk about what Movin' Out adds in. So first of all, it's got a whole new set of 20 scenarios, just like the original game. And this time it's only for two players. So if you loved the four-player game of Decorum, I don't. I think it's the more chaotic way to play. I really prefer it for two-player. But this expansion is just for two-player content, so make sure you got that. But the big addition is vehicles. So you still have the house, but now you're also moving things into one or more vehicles in the game. And all the scenario rules will have rules for vehicles, what's packed and what isn't, what you're leaving behind in the house, what you're bringing with you. And then as the scenarios go along, you add in boxes that you can move around and stack on top of each other. You add in bubble wrap to protect items. So you really get an explosion of new nuances and new kind of puzzles to figure out cooperatively. So with all these new options, what keeps the game from being completely unhinged? The big difference is the items that you start with are all you have for the entire scenario. So you are no longer just pulling random things from this kind of central board. Instead, it's all about swapping things from one location to another. And they also changed up the core actions you can take in the game to make things a little bit quicker, because now as a single action, you can swap two items together. Whereas in the original game, you would have had to remove one object, then place another object, then place the first object. So it speeds things up and lets you focus even more on the deduction. And again, you really need that change because there's already so much going on with all the new options and just having more places to put things and more rules to keep track of. So I think it's a great change that doesn't invalidate the original two-player campaign. I think that's still awesome, obviously. But I think it gives this two-player campaign a very different feel. And also for those who get into this kind of dorky stuff, they bring back characters from the original campaign. You get to see their stories developing even more. And it's still very funny, very humorous, makes fun little references to things. So overall, if you liked two-player Decorum, this one is a complete no-brainer. It is fabulous, a great expansion. On the other hand, if you hated Decorum, this game does change up some major things, but I don't think it's a completely different experience, so you probably still won't enjoy it. And the big one, if you never played Decorum at all, I think, again, that it's one of the best cooperative deduction games out there, specifically for two-player play. So if that's a genre, if that's a type of game you like, I would start with the core game and then definitely look into the expansion, because if you like the core game, it's just more, it's even better. It's a great, great time. So that is Decorum Moving Out. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you at the next stop.